Okay, so in this video, I still have an awful lot to do with UVs, but at least I've separated out my islands and my regions, and it's going to be a lot easier to, it'll be much easier to finish the job. Ultimately, I'm going to want to get them all in this space here, which is 0 to 1 in positive U, and 0 to 1 in V. And, so UV, it's almost, you could think of it as XY, and this is generally the quadrant where you want to texture your stuff in. And so right now, just at this stage for working, we can really use any of the area we want. And the last thing we'll do is kind of pack it all in here. So for now, I've got more stuff to do. So at this point, and there's something else I should have indicated, that you're generally better off to just delete 1/2 U, then UV it, and then just add it and mirror it over. So I think I'm going to go ahead and do that. And we'll sew it all back up, so we're only UVing one on one side. So let's get a front view. Still have my template in there. So I'll UV the right side and then mirror those UVs over, and then also mirror the geometry over as well. So let's just take everything on the front, or everything on the left side, we're going to delete it. And that's going to be everything on the left side except for the hair. The hair we're going to have to UV separately because it is not symmetrical. So let's deselect the hair. And now let's just delete that geometry. Whoops. Okay, so now I've just got half the body. I made sure that the hairline would match up with the scalp on both sides earlier. I was careful to do that. So we'll get into perspective here. So the problem we had earlier is I hadn't deleted this face, which is why that gave me some trouble with having an inside face mirror. Okay, that's good. Say again. I'll say half, so that's half a bottle. So, let's start with the chest plate here. So there's interesting ways of doing this. Either way, I'm going to have a seam down the arm or on the shoulder. So, but I think what I'm going to do is just cut it in half. So what I'll do is take these faces. So what I need to do is come in and I'm going to cut it right down the center. Okay, so here what I've done is just taken some edges and grabbed them. And so I'm going to, now that I'm in edge mode, so what I'm going to do over here is I've already made a edge selection up here into the collar and the head, so let's just deselect that. But as you can see, the edge selection still remains for this piece. And let's get rid of the edge that I made on the arm. Essentially get rid of it everywhere that I might have cut an edge except for that chest piece. And now I'm going to come into cut and sew. And what I'm going to do is cut. So now I have to think of this like a seamstress. So now what I'm going to do is go to UV shells, grab the back part and the front part, and so these are now two separate pieces. And what I want to do is join them on this edge. But when I shot the UVs on these, when I shot them from this angle on the camera. So I could just as easily, so I could do one of two things. I could either find transform, and you should most likely see a flip UVs on the U, which I do, so I could do that, or I could just reshoot them here. So I'll just click on flip, and so that flips them. So now what I'm going to do is just take these edges and sew them up. So before I do that, what I'm going to do is come in and grab the UVs, the transform, and now I'm going to get into unfold. So I'll just click on unfold, and then it unfolds it for me, so that everything's pretty much flat. And we'll do the same thing here, unfold. And so it's going to do its very best to give me an unfolded piece of geometry. It's going to try to match the software is going to do its best to match up the 2D space, the 2D area, with the area that it's in 3D for each face. But that's not good enough because I want these pieces to be together. So what I can do there is I will select these edges. what I could do now is I could stitch together. Now, this used to be called move and sew. Now they're calling it stitch together. So I'm stitching A to B. And so this is the one I selected first, so it's going to stitch it here. So I do that, it just moves it right over and just stitches it together. So it's like a seamstress, and kind of split it open, and I'm just flattening it out like a pancake. So now that I've done that, I'm going to come in and click on unfold again, and it makes a little better piece for me, and I'm just going to go with that. Now if I wanted to do some more unfolding, I could go to this unfold tool, and I can do a little bit more kind of straightening out of things. Best if you use a pen. I'm just using my mouse with a very sore finger because I fell off my bike and under the handlebar stuff last night and I took a break. Okay, so I'm just going to come back and fold that again, optimize. So I've got a pretty good section right there. So there's my torso. And the arm, I'm going to handle it the same way. I'm going to split it. But with the arm, I'm going to take it and I'm going to split it down the inside of the arm because I'm going to wind up with a seam. So first of all, what I need to do is slick the arm, all those faces, and then I'm going to deslick the hands because I'll do this. Good. Let's do another projection now on the base. Every time you do a projection, it throws it down there in that space. So with the arm, what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut that. Again, I'm going to cut it on the inside of the arm where the seam will be the least noticeable. I'm not sure if that cut will end up going anywhere else. Get off the didn't really want to see anyways. So I'll say cut. So now that's cut, now what I can do is just unfold it. Spread it right out. So just grab the shelf. And that's vertices, so I'm going to grab the medians. Because vertices are shared. You notice on vertices, are shared with my hands. So I'm going to grab medians. And same thing, it's unfolded. And then it just completely unwraps it like a cylinder. And I don't know why it's pinching at the top. Shouldn't have. And I guess that's because maybe these faces wound up in another projection somewhere. Nope. Oh. Okay, this is the hand side. Oh, this is the edge that I cut. And so what I need to do is cut yet another piece on that. So I think I'm going to just zoom in here. That face, let's cut that. And let's grab the UVs again. Click and fold again. And so I've got a nice layout of the arm. Here's the, this is going to be the back of the arm. This will be the side. So, for example, if I wanted to just grab these two faces, you can see where they are in relation 3D to 2D. And let's put down here just do that. So, Maya's UV tools are, in my opinion, sufficient to unwrap anything. I think it does a great job, and it's completely adequate for me for the job. So now let's take the leg, and I'll do the same thing. I'll unwrap it on the inside of the leg. I'll put the shoes in a separate projection. So let's switch to faces. And at this point, I think you kind of get the idea. And so I'm going to, well, I'm going to show you another tool. And then I will, and then what I'm going to do is fast forward the video. So I've pretty much explained everything I'm going to be doing. So I mentioned the stitch together. So when we stitch this piece together, this is the tool we use. And then if I were to select an edge, I could also cut. But there's also this cut tool, which is going to be handy. So I could come in on an edge, and it'll just kind of slice it for me. So that's the cut tool. And you need to either hit Q or get into a different tool to get out of that. The opposite of that will be the sew tool. So I can come in here and just grab these edges and sew them up. So I can cut and sew with the cut and sew tools, or I can just cut and just make a cut and leave it there. I can sew, and that way if I were just going to click on sew, I'd have to have the edges selected first. And then this stitch together is where one UV shell or island will suck into another one, but you just have to have the edges selected. And optimize and unfold are kind of similar, just a little more granular control with a brush. The only other thing that I would probably use would be the align tool. So say if I wanted this edge to be completely flat, I could use the align tool here, which is going to line them up to, take them all and line them up to the furthest edge. So it's going to make a straight line right here. Just click on that. So that will align things. C to undo, or to align it to the other side. I'm going to go that way. And but I'm not going to do it because I like just the way it's conforming. Hard edge stuff, there's the align tool, and this is for top and bottom. And this linear align will be Q. Let's grab some edges. So linear align, if I I click on that, it's going to try to straighten that line straight out. So that's pretty handy as well. But I like how Maya's laid this out. Like I said, it's a great job. A lot of people want to use different tools for UV editing. I think Maya is sufficient to do just about anything you need. So that's the align. Shows you optimize, straighten, and the only thing I haven't shown you yet is pinning. So with pinning, I could come in and grab a couple of UVs. Just say I wanted to maybe pin some borders down. So I just wanted all my edges to stay, or all my corners rather, to stay put. Well, let's just say I didn't really care about anything else. So I'll just pin down a couple of corners. And so then what I could say is pin. Pin tool. Click on pin. Okay. So those are pinned and they're also blue. So when something's pinned, it's not going to move. So then I could come in and use some of these more exotic tools like this fold, create, transform, snap, map. So I was looking for tools here. So with all these corners kind of pinned down, then I could come into the interior and I could select some of these and then put on a lattice. And so then I could move these around like that, which can be pretty handy. Or I could just grab them all and use it like a lattice, but anything that's pinned isn't going anymore. So pin tool is very handy for stuff like that, because sometimes you're just going to get shapes that won't cooperate. And so when you're doing your, for example, if I were to really mess this up, so what I could do is come back in here and let's get out of that tool, but come back to, let's come back to our unfold. So if we click on unfold, we're pretty much going to go back to where we were. Optimize, reassemble. So when you run into trouble, that's where the pinning really helps. You kind of beat some of your corners and areas into submission where you want them to stay, and then you can use these other tools. And it's pretty handy. So come into tools. There's also like smear. You can smear stuff out. B, we change the brush size. Just lots of really cool stuff. You guys have no idea how difficult UVs were to do 15 years ago. None of this stuff. It was just, you have to move each UV around point by point, like you were remodeling the whole thing. There's pinch, pinch stuff together, grab, inch lattice smear, symmetrize. I'm going to do that. Cube. So those are all the tools I'm going to use. And then once things are where I like them, I can come back to and all. So that got rid of my paint. So that's really the whole process. Those are the tools that I'm going to use, and what I'm going to do is just more stuff like this, where I'm cutting stuff up and then stitching it back together. I'll cut up the leg and flatten it out like I did the arm. With the feet, I'll do a different projection for the top of the boot and the soles, and for the hands, the front and the bottom, and sew them together. The face will flatten out. The hair is going to be a little more tricky. Here I'm going to have to probably kind of grab it lock by lock, where there are locks, and unfold those the same way. So those are the tools. That's the process. And the next video, it'll just be a time lapse, and you can sit back and relax and watch that. See you in the next video.